Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mercy with DiscountLowVoltage.com, and today we're going to talk about security camera power supplies, which one's best for your camera, and we're also going to wire one of these up. We're going to show you how to do it. Let's get to it. Okay, so we have a few different power supplies here. We have the small 12 volt, we have the larger 24 volt, and we have the master distribution unit. We'll crack this open here in a sec. We have a couple cameras. Now you always want to make sure with whatever camera you select, you match your power supply to the camera you're using. This one here is a 12 volt, so we're going to use a 12 volt power supply. The other ones, actually some cameras like this one here, it's a dual voltage, so it'll do 12 and 24. Why would you consider paying more money for the 24 volt power supply? Well, sometimes there's certain camera runs where they're really long. I'd say security camera RG59 with power, typically about 200 meters is a good ballpark range to where you're going to get signal to your camera with no issues. Anything further than that, you might want to roll with the 24 volt to help give it that extra power so you don't have any issues with the IRs lighting up properly and getting a proper image on the screen. Now, if you're using individual cameras, the 12 volt, remember, match up the power to your camera. This is probably the way you want to go. These are definitely most commonly sold in residential type applications. The cable on the other end is a, it's just for your power, but you may need to purchase a separate pigtail to line it up with the power. And on the other end of the pigtail, you have your two conductors there where you can go ahead and make your splice to your coax cable and your 18.2 that we'll go ahead and get to in just a moment. So this is definitely more common with residential installs. It's the slim style, so that way if you do want to extend install more cameras, you can go ahead and put more of these on a power strip instead of taking up a lot of room. There is also the 24 volt power supply. This typically does cost a bit more. You want to go ahead and just plug it into your power strip or outlet, and it is wired a little differently from brand to brand and what type, but you pretty much get the picture. These are definitely more commonly sold with individual cameras. If you need one or two cameras, this is probably the route to go. Now, if you have a commercial install or residential install, you're going to want to use the master module. Alright, so let's get a better look at the power supply. This is a master power supply. They're also available in a 4 and a 16 and an 18. This is actually a 9. Now, some of the things you might want to look for is, for example, the knockouts. This one here, we got 3 on the top. You also have them on the side. Got here on the bottom. And you also actually have it in the middle of the unit right behind, so you knock that out and run your power cable in through the drywall. Now, as we open it up, inside of it, you've got your fuses there. And what that does, in case there's ever a power surge or a power issue at your job site or at your residential installation, one of the fuses, they'll pop or they'll go out. You'll have to replace it instead of replacing possibly your security camera. That's a nice little feature. And we got the screw terminals there. You got your positive and you got your negative here. You can tell the negative right underneath the wire there. Okay, guys, so we're going to talk about the power cable for security cameras. Now, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. We have the Siamese cable, which is the RG59 with the 18.2 attached to it. Now, this is very popular, and you're going to want to use this when you have the option of having your power supply next to your DVR. Now, sometimes with certain DVRs that are rack mountable, some of these installs, you're going to want to lock them down in a telecommunication closet on a rack, and you might lock it down somewhere else that's kind of hidden so nobody can mess with the footage that's recorded. You might need to run your power separately. Now, if you go that route, you're going to want to use what's commonly installed is the 18.2 just by itself. Run that for your power to a separate location. You're going to run a separate RG59 cable for your signal back to the DVR. So you're going to have 2 separate cables, 2 separate home runs for that type of installation, that type of setup. But this is basically it. Now don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for how-tos on terminating coaxial cable. Now let's get back to the product. Okay, now that we've unscrewed the screw terminals for your power supply, we're going to use one channel, and one channel per camera. We have our cable, our 18-2. This is a Siamese cable. Don't forget, if you're running Siamese, you can go ahead and split the cable just like that and run your signal to the DVR. We're just focusing on the power. So we're just going to run the positive into the positive, the negative into the negative, screw it down, and we're good to go. Okay, so let's go over what we just went over. Match the camera power needs to correct power supply. Power either a 12 or 24 volt. Keep in mind some cameras are dual voltage. Power supplies are individual per camera or multi-channel for multiple cameras. Multi-channel helps keep the wiring and installation neat and organized. Power cable used is an 18 gauge 2-conductor. Power signal is around 1,000 feet. Now the power signal, 1,000 feet, it's a pretty good kind of rule of thumb that's out there on the market. Even though the RG59 coax signal is about 500 feet, so you're probably not going to have an issue with power. It's really going to depend. It's one of the things you might need to play with, but it's not a very common occurrence at your install, so it's probably not a big deal. You're probably not going to bump into it. But the 2-conductor cable, very easy to wire. Anybody can do it. You guys got it. You can order all this stuff online. If you have any questions, call us. Number here is 888-797-3697.